Hi everyone, it's Chenzo from Reality Art Pod, here to talk about The Traitors Season 3, Episode 10, titled The Power of the Seer. Last week on The Traitors, the faithful were hit one more time, baby, when Britney Spears' ex, Sam, was murdered by the Traitors, and everyone continued not to listen to Carolyn, and they banished her from the game. Before I dive in, I put a link in the description to my playlist, where you can catch up on my previous recaps. If you like the content, consider liking and subscribing. My videos aren't meant to replace the original material, so if you missed the episode, I highly encourage you to seek it out on Peacock to form your own opinion. But let's dive into it. The episode starts with Danielle uncloaking, revealing that she's been a traitor the whole time, and offering Brittany a no-choice. Danielle tells Brittany that Brittany's her person, and she could join her in the turret or die. Of course, Brittany accepts. They head to the turret, where Danielle does a Carolyn impression, and Danielle is thrilled that she has someone that she likes with her in the turret. They agree that they need to protect Dylan and Dolores, who they both feel trust them. They consider murdering Ivor to go undetected, and Gabby and Tom because they're onto Danielle as a traitor. The next day at breakfast, Danielle and Dylan are first to enter. Danielle calls Dylan her person, and Dylan tells us that overnight he's decided he's going to try to believe that Danielle is a faithful. Brittany and Dolores join them. Brittany is loving her new life as a traitor. She's completely unaffected by it and acting exactly the same as usual. Gabby enters, not knowing how close to death she was. Gabby is committed to playing hard this round and is focused on banishing Danielle after Carolyn voted for Danielle. Gabby is convinced that Danielle is a traitor. Ivor is last to enter, meaning Tom is murdered. Gabby and Dolores are so happy. Flashback to the Traitors deciding on murdering Tom because he's onto Danielle. The Traitors also decide to spend their day trying to get Gabby banished. In his goodbye, Tom is happy, feeling like he was good in the game, and says he was a pleasure to work with and respected. So we say goodbye to Tom here, who coming into the season I thought wouldn't want to be a traitor, and he certainly didn't. He comes on the show in the wake of Scandival, and I feel like being on the Traitors instead of dealing with all that public scrutiny was probably really good for him. So he asks to be a faithful and is quickly targeted by other players who just didn't like him in the real world. Surprisingly, they didn't think he was a traitor and kept him around, showing that the other players were pretty serious about the game. And he himself goes on to get way more into the game than I expected him to. He was often wrong, but at least he was trying, and frequently was narcissistic and delusional. But there's a childlike quality to him, as we saw in the doll challenge, and I did find him quite likable. He even turned around the other players on him, with many leaving off admitting post-season that they like him and they don't care what anyone thinks about it. He even won best dressed and the rare worst dressed at breakfast. He truly ran the gambit. Alan enters wearing a blue and leathery kilt, foofy blue shoulders, and kinky leather gloves. He says that Tom was faithful for once, and tells the group they'll be playing for a huge power in the challenge. For best dressed at breakfast, it's gotta be Gabby again. She really gobbled with this whole outfit, and the other players were even in awe of her. She came to fight with this. The players disperse. Gabby has a really awkward conversation with Danielle in the kitchen. She's so terrified of Danielle. Danielle goes to Dolores, promising loyalty to Dolores, and using the fact that Gabby voted with Carolyn against Danielle as ammo against Gabby. Dolores tells us she basically sees Danielle as family and wants to be loyal to her until the end. Dylan and Ivor both agree that they're faithful. Ivor suggests Danielle as a traitor because Danielle's always worried and overthinking. Dylan suggests Gabby, saying he's never trusted Gabby. Elsewhere, Gabby tells Brittany she thinks there are two traitors and that they're Danielle and Dolores. Brittany runs right back to Dylan, telling Dylan that Gabby's acting like a traitor because she hasn't socialized with anyone besides the Bambis until now, and Gabby's trying to target Danielle. Gabby then has yet another awkward interaction sitting with Danielle, and Danielle tells us in confessional that she's about to end Gabby. They head to their daily challenge where Danielle and Brittany are alone in their car, agreeing that they're going to get the votes on Gabby. In another car, Dylan and Dolores debate who to vote between Gabby and Ivor. At the challenge, Alan's outfit has been upgraded with gold armor. They're told that the one player who gets the most gold in this challenge will become the Seer, and they'll get to invite one other player to a private face-to-face meeting where they'll have to reveal if they're a traitor or a faithful to the Seer. They'll play 3 games today, with the goal of earning the most gold combined between the 3 games. In the first game, Alan brings back the clowns, who have their infamous gold balloons. The clowns reveal the inside of their jackets, which either have money or a skull. 10 of the clowns have money and 5 have skulls. One by one, they need to pick the clowns that have money. If they pick a clown with a skull, they lose all their money from this round. Alan asks the clowns to get up and dance around, which reshuffles them and makes it impossible to remember. Each balloon is worth $500, and after each round, they can pop another balloon or decide to stop pressing their luck. Dylan and Gabby get skulls and win no money. Ivor and Danielle bank $500, and Brittany and Dolores bank $1,000. In the next game, the haunted dolls are back. They're each given a doll, and they could pull their doll string to either get money or be told they're too greedy. After each round, they can choose to cash out and not risk anymore, just like in the previous round. Gabby, Ivor, and Dylan pull too many times and lose all their money. Too greedy. Dolores and Brittany pull twice and get $1,400. Danielle pulls and gets $2,000. In the final round, they need to search around the woods for gold coins, each worth $100. They'll collect their coins, put them in their bucket, and hoist it up to lock in the money before the time runs out. They dig through gross bags of caca for the gold coins. Dylan thinks Danielle is suspicious because of how hard she's trying to win this. They all get their coins and hoist their boxes in time, but they head head back to the castle without knowing the results of this competition. Gabby and Dylan sync up. Gabby brings up she heard Danielle behind the bookcase weeks ago, that Jeremy said Danielle's name, and that Danielle and Carolyn had beef, as all of her evidence against Danielle. Dylan then talks to Danielle and tells Danielle it's going to be either she or Gabby tonight. Danielle turns on her acting mode. She tells Dylan she's so hurt by him and is playing up how upset she is. Danielle calls on Brittany, telling Brittany that Dylan is considering voting Danielle out, and they go on a mission to secure the votes to help keep Danielle. Brittany tries to get Dolores' vote, but Dolores doesn't care at all about strategy and numbers. Brittany then looks everywhere to find Ivor, and when Ivor tells Brittany that he's voting for Danielle, Brittany breaks down, knowing that she might have to vote for Danielle too. They head to the round table with Brittany telling us in confessional that she's tasked herself to be supportive of Danielle without seeming suspicious, and Dolores tells us she's torn between Gabby and Ivor and is hearing everyone out. Alan tells them this will be the last time that a banished player will reveal their role, and they get started. Brittany suggests that Gabby was comfortable in the game and that's why she didn't bother with anyone besides the Bambis. Gabby turns it back on Danielle, saying that Danielle and Carolyn's beef seemed like traitor on traitor fighting. Dylan agrees that it was sketchy, and Ivor says he feels Danielle is a traitor. Danielle and Gabby go back and forth, with these two having a queen off that goes nowhere. Dolores then brings up Ivor's name, saying that Bob the drag queen voted for Ivor twice, and that she's going to vote for Ivor. Brittany and Danielle start shooting each other looks, clearly both considering jumping on Dolores' bandwagon. So they get to voting. Ivor, Gabby, and Dylan all vote for Danielle, and Dolores, Danielle, and Brittany do vote together for Ivor. So they have a tie. Danielle and Ivor have to make a final plea, then the 4 other players will re-vote. If it's a tie again, their fate will be decided by chance. Ivor argues that he's definitely a faithful, and if they vote him out, they're gonna go into the final with probably 2 traitors. Danielle begs Dylan to change his vote, saying if he doesn't, he'll betray her just like Brittany did in Reindeer Games. Through this, Brittany thinks she sees Dolores, signaling to her that she's changing her vote to Danielle, and they go to re-vote. In the re-vote, Dylan and Gabby both vote for Danielle, Dolores votes for Ivor again, and we're left off with a cliffhanger on Brittany's vote. I'll talk about that later, but here are my thoughts on this week of the Traitors. In last week's post-mortem, Carolyn calls Danielle a monster, and Sam says he thinks the traitors are Gabby and Dolores. Sam, I have so much faith in you. And Carolyn and Sam sat down together to chat, which is such a random duo. They both agree that Danielle will do anything to win. There's also a lot of discourse online about Danielle swearing on her grandkids, and so many people are offended by this, but Brandy swore on her kids in season 1. Even though she was telling the truth, she still did it, and y'all had no problem when Dee swore on her whole family lying on Survivor. This has been done before. Is a hole going to open up in the ground and swallow up her grandkids and suck them down into the pits of hell? Is that what happens? Get a grip. I feel like I understand Danielle because she's not playing the Traitors game. She's playing Big Brother in the Traitors castle and trying to strategize her way through it without caring too much about the assigned roles. Danielle and Brittany decided to murder Tom, saying he was onto Danielle, and I'm excited for the post-mortem to see if Tom really felt that way. I still think they should have picked Ivor or Dylan, and they clearly misread Dylan, saying they have his loyalty when he'll go right on to turn on Danielle. We saw the Seer competition, which ended round 2 with Brittany and Dolores having $2,400 and Danielle with $2,500. I think it's safe to say that Dylan, Ivor, and Gabby are out of the Seer competition. They would have had to get 25 coins just to tie Danielle, and I rewatched the challenge. We saw Danielle put the most coins into the box. I didn't see any clips of Dolores looking like she was trying or cared, so I'm convinced Brittany or Danielle will be the Seer. We left off with this cliffhanger. I think Brittany would be so silly to change her vote and betray Danielle. Firstly, that just makes her look like a terrible friend and goes against everything she's been saying. She's been telling everyone that she's basically guilted into being loyal to Danielle because of her past, which is the perfect alibi to not change her vote. Also, if Danielle reveals she's a traitor, Brittany has to deal with the suspicion that she was recruited. There also seems to be no penalty for the voters to keep their votes, whereas on Survivor, the voters would be at risk if they can't come to a conclusion. So heading into this finale, if Danielle goes, I think Brittany has an uphill battle, but literally anything could happen. I'm more interested in seeing Ivor go, because he's boring, but also because at that point, Danielle and Brittany just need to Big Brother their way through this, which would be the best plot of the season. But that's all I have to say about this episode. Let me know in the comments what you thought of Tom's departure, who do you think will be the Seer, and what do you think and hope will happen in the finale. If you like this video, consider liking and subscribing. I'll be back next week with more Traitors. I'm also recapping Survivor, Deal or No Deal Island, and the Challenge All-Stars. You know where to find me. Bye!